Did you panic?
I panicked.
You panicked that it wasn't going to get to 3, or that it was going to get to 3?
It was 3, 2, 1. Ah!
It's like a bomb or something?
Yep.
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 It's like a bomb.
Alrighty. Welcome to Facebook Live. What's today?
Today is
Thursday,
the 25th.
the 25th of May, 2017.
As you would like to tell us when we were growing up, all day and half of the night.
All day and half the night. Isn't that interesting how it's all day and then it's half the night, but not all night.
Or all night and half the day. It's kind of weird logic if you think about it.
I had a busy day today, so a little tired. I have to get my energy up. It's a long day.
You went to a devotional today.
Yeah, I had a nice devotional. We had Elder Ardern and Elder Foster over the department come talk, and it was really nice. Just I took last week off to clean the house, and the wife says you need to take a week off the month of May, and I says, really, what are we doing? She says, you coming home and you're going to help me clean the house. And that means every cupboard, every drawer, every room. We didn't finish, but
pretty close.
yeah, I got 3. Tegan here helped me with the basement, and my son, who semi-destroyed it, and she helped him clean that all up. Then I had 3 areas of nastiness that my goal was to get done. One was the food room down in the basement that was...
Your cold storage?
Yeah, our food storage, which was a disaster. We hadn't been down there for like 4 years. and everybody kind of used it as a throw things in there when you don't want it to be seen. So that took me 2 days to get through that.
It's that drawer.
Yeah, and then the other one was the garage.
Yep.
So I had to clean out the garage and get all that piles put away and properly put in their place. And
so you can find your tools now.
yeah, and the third one was my office downstairs in the basement, which kind of turned into one of those catch-all places too. It's got boxes like a hoarder, boxes up to the ceiling kind of thing. The stuff that we got to go through. But I didn't get to that one, so I was too wore out. But, the rest of the house we did okay, Probably got about a half, not quite a half, I don't think. Did we get a half?
About half done.
About half. So that was good. Feels good to have it picked up.
Ultimate spring cleaning.
We got, half of a car drive into the garage just got piled up with garage sale stuff and things like that. I still got a stinking shed somewhere.
Somewhere in
Orem I got to go through. I went over there with 2 truckloads and pulled out stuff to get rid of that. I'm done paying for the shed. I'm tired of paying for it. So.
Well, maybe one of these days we can get your office clean and we can do these Facebook Lives down in your office.
Oh no, that would be nice.
So it can be like a desk side chat with Ron.
There you go.
It is beautifully decorated too.
Yeah.
He does have a very nice office.
Yeah.
Has like a fancy glass door. He has this antique roll top
Yeah, it was my
desk.
grandfather's solid oak railroad antique desk that he worked for the railroad for 50-something years.
Lord's perfect.
And
That was
so
like
anyway,
the
it's
one
kinda
thing
cool.
that you inherited. That
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah.
I remember being little and like it would be closed and locked, and I was always like, I'm gonna find a way to get into that thing. You can't get into those things.
So let's see. Did you see what Jared put in the spreadsheet as questions I was supposed to go answer? What
Is
what
it
does say?
these?
I can't read it. You guys got micro fonts.
I do not even have a microphone. It's like on the 12-point font.
On a
Dude, we're
screen that's
headed.
4 gigs, 4K
Gosh.
screen.
Is that better? Can you see it now? How about
Keep
now?
going.
Seriously?
Okay,
This is like you're blind. You need to go to a doctor.
I'm way over here. So,
Edible source
so-
linker.
yeah. So the request was editable source linker, and I thought we talked about that one. I'm not sure about the question there. He didn't do a very good job writing down the question.
Yeah, this is not.
So the editable source linker, you can't do it now. You can only add things that aren't there. And then one of the reasons I think I said last time that we don't let you edit is because open edit is you got to see the reasons, you got to see the attached sources, and that's just fills that screen with too much junk. So we haven't figured out how to do that. All spouses in search results in find. Oh yeah, that one I got to go talk to the guys. This one is so that you can remind me and not let me forget. This one is in the search results. They want to see not only if there's, this person had 3 wives or something, they don't want to see just one wife in the search results thing. They want to see all 3 there, so they can do that. Okay, yeah, person page freezing, what's that?
Archiving a discussion and then
Make
making
it searchable.
searchable.
Manually changeable language in apps. Oh, in the mobile app.
Mm-hmm.
Consultant planner.
How to access and when will it be simpler? Do I need to still ask you all these things? I guess?
How to access. When
really,
will
you
it be
really
simpler?
can't see?
I got one eyeball that looks far, and I got one eyeball that looks close. And there's a range where neither work because it's got.
This is the range.
Yes. If I go back far like that, then my far eye can see it. But if I want to see it with my close eye, it's got to be closer than that. So if I close this one, it's blurry. That one is clear. But if you move it closer, then keep going, keep going. Now the right one's clear and the left one's blurry.
You look like a
You
dork.
gotta work it. That's how it is us old people. That's why we're always going like this, because we're trying to find the right spot where the eyes work. Okay, and you laugh now, but it'll be coming for you. It'll be your turn soon enough, and I'll probably still be around, and I will sit there and chuckle, probably spit ice cream.
Don't make fun of blind people. I'm
That's
not making
right.
fun of blind people. I just
That's right.
like it's blown. The screen is blown up so big. I'm like, you really can't
It's
see
not
this?
so big. Her font's like this size.
Guys, it's a 12
Micro
point font.
and then I asked it to go to like 14
That
size.
is so not true. You
Okay,
asked me to go to
let's
like
go.
a 30 something font.
Let's do something. I can't answer the
Gosh.
questions, so those are all future features.
you- are
Those
you-
are all future features anyway that they want.
So you want me to ask you these things or what?
Just send them to remind me about them.
Okay, I have to shrink this back down.
Yeah, I know it's hard for you to see when it's that big. If the asteroid was coming, you wouldn't even see it because it's so huge.
Dude, I will have you know I have 20/20 vision.
That's right. 20 over there and 20 back there. What's our first question?
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Why do I wear glasses? Oh,
Just
I have
for
an
looks?
astigmatism, so my eyes retarded. Is
Yeah,
my
I
problem.
go around.
It likes to like. I have to train my
I
muscles.
see. Okay.
Okay, the first question is from Debbie.
Mm-hmm.
When you print ordinance cards from home, let's say you want to print all the ordinances to be done, everything turned green cards are printed, but when you change your mind because you forgot you only want to do baptisms and confirmations, you reprint the cards for just that, and the other ordinances on the card
Yeah.
are X'd out. But on the temple list, everything is still green.
Yeah.
What is another way to get around this problem besides paying more attention to what you're doing? Good
Yeah,
question.
there isn't a way to get around the problem right now. This is the reason why and this is a thing we need to work on, but it's just low priority with all of our other big things we need to do. And you have to remember that this thing is not talking about. I want you to understand how it works so that you can impress your friends. Okay, when they ask you, why is it when I goes to print and I say no, it didn't print, it still thinks it's printing. It's printed. Let me tell you why. You'll be the hero and the expert, and they'll come ask you for all your questions. So maybe you don't want to do it.
Well, then they can just refer them to this group, and then they can come learn, and then they can become genealogists extraordinaire. Oh, Robert says that's why Ron needs glasses. So he does have glasses.
I wear contact lenses.
But you do have glasses. So he has one contact lens that makes him see far, and one contact lens that makes him see close. So it's supposed to like help his eyes even out so he can see.
No, it makes it so
all
so
the
I can see
time.
everything. See, usually you put glasses on, and they're for far or they're near,
Yeah.
or you have to get bifocals,
Right.
and then you have to kind of look down and look up and stuff. I didn't want that. So one eye, I have a contact in that lets me see clear looking down the street.
Right.
And then I have the other eye, I have a different contact lens
Let's see
that makes me see when I have things up close.
So basically, he
So
has,
I have I have reader glasses in one eye, and I have long distance glasses for driving in the other eye.
So basically, you have bifocal contact.
Yeah, it's actually called monovision is what it's called. Each eye has a unique vision. And what's cool about it, what's kind of interesting, is the brain fixes it. So
Well,
when I
puts them
first wore it for
together.
like 2 weeks, I was like, thought I was blind everywhere.
Well, you were.
And then pretty soon the brain goes, oh, when I'm looking far, make the left eye be the dominant. And if I'm looking close, make the right eye be the dominant. And then you just don't know. Now it's like as if you don't need glasses at all. because you can, except for that one sweet spot that's just right there where it's kind of neither contact lens works. Then that's it. Okay, so let me tell you what happens.
Okay, so back to printing cards.
Okay, you probably can't read that. I gotta get better on the bra.
Do you want me to write for you?
Maybe.
No one can read. That looks like Bowser. Like, are you playing Mario Kart?
Okay.
What am I supposed to
Browser.
write?
Make it big. You write small.
I do not write small.
Okay, thank you. So here's the browser. You know, your Google, Chrome, or your
Safari,
IE, or your
Firefox,
Edge, or whatever.
Whatever you're using.
And you're on your browser, and you're seeing the temple ordinances, and you click print. And what it does is it calls a computer system in the back, in backend FamilySearch.org. This is called a service. This is a piece of software that responds to requests from a browser. We call that a service. So it calls this service, and it calls this service that this service does is all it does is print temple cards. And so it gets the information that you said, I want these things selected, and then this browser tells this service, here's the thing that so-and-so Barbara selected, and it says print the cards. And then this thing here generates a PDF.
You want me to write for you again?
So the output,
Okay, so this spits out a PDF.
this spits out a PDF.
Okay.
Okay, so this spits out a PDF, and then the PDF shows up in your browser. And then you take that browser PDF and you click print on your browser, and it spits it out on your printer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this thing up here doesn't know anything about your printer. And all it knows is when I turned it into the PDF, I printed it because I put it in a
It's
PDF.
marked done.
It's marked printed as soon as I create a PDF. And we have, you know, what we'd have to do is you'd have to go in and say unprint. And if we say unprint, we'd have to go tell this guy up there to mark those things as not printed by a PDF. But that's why it happens, because it generates a PDF, and it considers when it generates the PDF, that means it's been printed. And that's what causes it to move from not printed to printed. So sorry, even if you're, you know, most of the people when they're in the browser and the PDF comes and they click print and the printer jams or runs out of ink and the little box comes up and says, did it print or did it not print? And I say, no, it didn't print, but yet it still shows it printed on the list. Mm-hmm. That's because it created the PDF. And that little box that comes up just allows you to reprint the PDF instead of, so that's what happens. So when we have the time, if it's important enough, we'll put in the code in here to let you say here and say, mark these as not printed, and then we'll go up here and say they weren't printed, and then they'll go back to the color you want it to be. So that's why it just hasn't been important enough to do that. You know, what happens, some people, the biggest request of this is somebody prints a bunch of cards, and then the printer jams and doesn't work, and so they want to reprint the ones that jammed. So they go and they can't figure out which ones were the ones they printed because it's just a big long list of all the ones they printed.
Yeah, it marks them all as printed.
Yeah, they can't find the ones that they missed.
Makes sense.
So, sorry, that was we moved on to other things, and that's on our list. But
could be a feature coming down the road.
But we got so many big things we need to do. It's hard to justify. But that's our plan. We'll go.
She says, "Thank you. I will pay more attention."
Yeah.
It's hard, we know. We're parents.
Yeah, some people are like printing their reservation list before they do something.
Oh, that may
or
be a smart way to
keep
do
a copy of your reservation list
so
so you can
like,
track things.
Check it off as you print, so then you know
or
what
check
you
it off
printed
when you
and
get it
different.
done. Or I don't know. We need to be better, but we've been putting our focus in other places.
Like maybe make a spreadsheet or something.
Nah, I don't do that. That's a pain.
Okay, this person didn't really have a question. They said, unless you have any knowledge about legacy family tree. I don't know if you know anything about legacy family tree.
Well, I'm not sure what they're talking about. Are
They just said, I don't have any questions today unless you have legacy family tree experience.
Oh, I assume he's talking about using the legacy product.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
Using legacy family tree. Yeah, I don't necessarily use legacy family tree. I've tried all of them. I've tried Answers Request and Roots Magic and Legacy, and I haven't done the Mac one because I don't have a Mac. And so I'm willing to answer your questions or get answers to your questions.
So ask them.
So go ahead and ask them, and I'll figure out. The only thing that I know of lately that's come up is there's been some complaining about the sources aren't coming over from Legacy and into Family Tree when you try to synchronize, and that's a Legacy issue. What they use forms like a lot of the other ones. They use forms to enter in your sources. They create things called master sources, and the master source is really just data you need to create the citation. And they create a master source, and then when you attach it to somebody, you give like the page number or something more detailed, and it completes the citation. And we don't do that on Family Tree. We don't do forms, and we don't do all that data. And they want to communicate using those forms, which I understand. And so we're still working out how we can do that with
How to
them.
best communicate.
Yeah, and so until we get that settled and work that through, then I guess we're stuck in that position. But this is really Legacy's choice because we have APIs, but the APIs don't do the form things and don't do the data. They just have to put a string in that represents the.
Really fast for some people that might not know what's an API.
An API stands for application interface, which means it's how one computer talks to another computer.
Okay.
So that's
Thanks for us computer handicapped over here
right.
that don't know what
It's
you're
how two computers talk. They call an API to tell a computer something, and then that computer responds with an answer back. And that's how the browser talks to the services on the back end.
Got it.
That's how your Office talks to Outlook, talks to Office, talks to Word. It's how any application talks to
Each other. Okay.
or within an application actually.
Makes sense.
The calendar in your Outlook. That's how
It syncs with your email.
That's
and
right.
stuff like that.
It's all using APIs to do that.
Got it.
Application interfaces.
Application interface.
Okay.
You learn something new every day.
There you go. Now you're all
I got a new
computer
brain
geniuses.
wrinkle.
Okay.
Now I can go out and
So
like,
go
create
ahead.
some amazing
Everyone should feel
programs.
free to ask any of the partner products, like how does Ancestry work with FamilySearch, or how does Legacy work, or Roots Magic, or Ancestor Quest, or any of those. If I don't know, then I'll go talk to the guys at FamilySearch who interact with those companies and those products and find out the answer.
I guess we should mention too, like most of the partnerships that FamilySearch and Family Tree have with programs that work with Family Tree, you've talked to them
Oh yeah.
before the partnership began, right? Because
Yeah.
they had to make sure that it was compatible. So ask your questions because he did work with them at one point in time to
Yeah.
make sure that their program
When
worked.
when I was put over New Family Search, I visited with all the partners and the things they did, and then when we flipped the Family Tree, I visited with all the partners to tell
make
them
sure
what we're
that it's
doing
switching.
and make sure that they were comfortable and understand how we would interact. And so I'm comfortable finding the answer for you. So please do so.
Yeah. So ask your question.
Yeah,
No worries. That was for RC Young. So
yeah. Some of them
Or
I
anybody
may
else.
have to answer the next week, but I'll
we'll
we
find
get-
the
we'll
answer
get the
for
answer.
you. But he did work with them. So okay. Oh, this person is from the UK.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay, so they're just saying they have to wait for the broadcast recording.
Mm-hmm, to
'Cause
see
they're-
the answer.
They're in bed when we
Yeah.
go live.
Yeah.
So this is from Ramsbottom Co. Wants to know recommended tasks on the main menu page. How are they chosen? Are they at random or starting with the closest member of the family lines to yourself first? Then how does FamilySearch choose these for us as suggested tasks? And as we clear the list, do new ones get loaded? And if so, what is the total number the system will show at one time? That was like
Yeah.
6 questions.
Yeah. So what happens is with that system, and we're designing right now an update to that system, but the way that works is when you log in to
Yeah.
FamilySearch and you
Yeah.
go to Family Tree, when you click on Family Tree and you enter into Family Tree, and this only happens once during the time. You just log in once, and if you work around a Family Tree, this only happens once at the very beginning.
Okay.
They fire off some work to be done underneath the tables on the servers on the back end that walk your tree, and they go up. I think they're going 7 or 8 generations now. I'd have to be sure. It used to be 4, and I think they're up to 6 now. 6 generations up and 2 down, and I think they're petitioning to go higher now. But what they do is they look at all those people up that and down, and they look for various things like, does it have hints? Does it have data problems? Does it have ordinances that need to be done? We're going to try to get smarter and smarter there and figure out things like, is it close to qualifying for temple? And then I believe that it normally starts at the closest one going back further from you in its suggestion set. And they just analyze the data that they get and determine what tasks would be good to put up. So you can skip the task, as you know, or you can just click it and do it. But a lot of them are around hints or
Data problems.
data things, or something's close and can work. And that's the, we've only had that homepage for probably 6 months or 4 months, and so that team has a large team, and they're constantly trying to figure out more things to encourage people to do on that homepage. So that you come in and you're not required to do those tasks. By the way, I don't want you to feel like you have to do those when you get to the homepage.
It's just if you're looking.
It's just if you're you're visiting and you see something there that's interesting, or maybe you flip through the tasks or the suggested things. You say, "Oh, that looks interesting." Well, jump over and do it, but you don't have to do it. You can jump right into your tree and just do your thing that you were doing before. But once in a while, it's kind of fun to look through there, and maybe there's something that's interesting that pops up, and you can run and go help you extend your line or something. So that's how it happens. And like I said, it refreshes once a
login
day for the login, because those things change, but they're not changing all the time. And we're working on an updated system that'll scale better and find more interesting things that would be good to do.
Cool.
So
that's
how that's done.
The only other question they asked was, what's the total number that the system will show at once?
I think that they, I'll have to double check, but I think they limit it to 10. I think they show 10, and then they just kind of cycle around, and there may be a whole lot more than 10, but I think they stop there, cycle around a little bit, and they've talked about, I think, maybe having a button that says, give me more or something, and it goes and shows you more than the 10 that they picked off. But I think it's 10, but I'll go verify that and let you know. So you can put that on the question set.
I put it on the to ask you side.
And my specific teams don't do that, but the guy that we help them, and they use data from the tree, as you can expect. And so we interact a lot, and they're I have a peer of mine that sits just right next door. He sits right next to me. He's just the next chair over, and he's the one that does that. He has that team responsibility, so I visit with him all the time. Brian. So he just sits right next to me. So we're as close as Tegan and I, pretty much, sitting on desks, maybe a little bit further.
Throw spitballs at each other.
Yeah. So I'll ask him about it.
Okay. Next question. So that was from the UK.
Yes.
So you know.
Yes.
So just so you know, they said they're in bed, but they're like eagerly excited and waiting to watch the replay tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a bummer. I'm not going to give them really great answers. I guess I give them a little half an answer.
Well, but maybe
I waited all night long for that.
Yeah. But maybe he was excited about the other answers.
Okay, we'll see.
Okay, the next question was from Jen Bay. Wants to know, can you help us understand the difference between unmerge and restore?
Okay.
A deleted person in regards to merge. When we restore that deleted person from a merge, is there still residual information left on the merged person from the restored deleted person? What happens to memory, sources, vital information? I'm aware the ordinances stay with the correct person.
Okay. We've talked about merge before, but I don't know if we've necessarily.
Do you write nice, or do I need to write?
I'm only doing letters, and if I don't have the right words, I think I'm okay.
Okay.
All right. So we got.
They want to understand the difference between an unmerge and a restore.
And a restore.
Oh,
how's that? Is that better?
I don't know. You're gonna have to ask them.
I'd make them too small, I think.
Ask Mom. She's the his wife is sitting right here. Can you read those, Mom?
Unmerge, restore. It looks like he's got a blurb on the bottom.
It's poopy. You got poopy handwriting.
I put the T and the O to close together.
Yes, you did.
I have efficient handwriting.
Sure, Or maybe we should ask your employees what they think about your.
I don't do
efficient
handwriting. I send them.
handwriting.
I type it on the computer
Yeah,
and
I
send an
know.
email.
I've watched you guys. Unmerge.
I don't think this is any better.
Well, mine's at least like legible. Just saying.
Let's see.
Mom, ultimate test.
You're biased.
Yes, they are more legible.
Ah,
Go!
you two sticking together, I think is what it is.
Okay.
I can never win on that.
Teach us the difference.
Okay, so let's recap what a merge is.
Okay.
Person 1 in the tree.
Mm-hmm.
This is person 2, the one that's the duplicate. So you have the, I call this original, this one the duplicate.
Okay.
And I say that because this is the one, this duplicate is the one that's going to go away or be archived after the merge occurs. Okay?
Folded into the other.
Yeah, well, what you're doing, just to recap, when this merge, this represents, this right here represents the change. Oh, you can't see that.
Get a different color. I'll get you a different one. Hold on. Try green.
Green.
You're writing in what yellow?
No, he was writing in red.
This spot right here, I'll make it bolder.
Well, you can see it if you don't tilt it. There you go.
This spot right here, this is the change log. That's what I'm referring to when I have that little arrow going down. That's the change log,
Okay.
where we store all changes about a person, and you can restore those changes.
Okay.
So, so here's the change log of P1. So I was created. Some people added some relationships. Some people did blah 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 blah.
Okay.
And then at this point in time, somebody merged P2 into here. And you know when you take data, what we ask you to do is decide the stuff over here. So I gotta have a different color.
Okay.
Give me the primary color, blue.
Blue.
So when you do that, you say, here's data from P2 that I want to put in on the P1. Okay? You choose, I want this data. So it could be like the birth or a relationship or other information. And you want to put that onto P1. So here's that there on the merge. Okay?
Okay.
And then at the end of the merge, then that data, that blue data is now on P1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, has everybody got that? That feeling good?
Feeling good.
Okay, so now we've just completed the merge.
Oh, my bad. That was my bad.
Yeah. So now we want to go, oops. I shouldn't have done that. I just realized they're too different, or it was wrong, or whatever. So I go to and look in the change log of P1, because I can't get to P2 because it's no longer around.
They've been archived.
It's been archived away.
Got it.
So I look at P2 and I go to its change log, and in the change log, I see an entry that says P2 was merged into P1.
Got it.
And on that entry,
Do you need a different color? Got purple.
there you go, that one's dark.
Don't write words.
So I'm just going to do a picture.
I'm just giving you a hard time. I can read your handwriting just fine, but I know that it took me years to read your handwriting. I want to see how old am I now. I don't even want to. Maybe I shouldn't tell people, because then that'll tell them how old you are.
Yeah, don't do it. Resist.
Okay.
Resist the urge.
Okay. Okay, you're not supposed to read this. Not supposed to be able to read it, but this represents the change log that you see when you're looking at P1 at this point in time.
Okay.
You see like a box.
It like pops up with.
You see,
all
no,
the
it's in
records or
it's in the change log as you're
Oh,
looking,
okay.
but it's a box. It's highlighted with a box around it,
Okay.
and it has like here's the beginning of the merge, here's the end of the merge, and it says on there it has P1 listed, it has P2 listed, and then it has all of the data, which is the blue stuff.
That came from P2.
It has all this blue stuff right here that tells you this is the data that came over from P2 onto P1.
Got it.
That's what that is.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So, if right after your merge, there's also another thing over here on the side. Oh no, it's right there. So if this is right after the merge, so nothing else has changed on P1, no one's touched P1, no one's added any data or changed any data on P1, at that point in time, unmerged, there would be an unmerge button inside this box. Okay? Over on the side.
Got it.
The box actually extends out like that, right? So it extends out around the unmerge, right? Okay. If you click the unmerge inside of the changelog, inside of this box, what happens is we bring P2 back to life, and we take all of the blue away from P1, and we
Give it all back to
give it all back to P2. P2 never changed. We just took the copy data from here to there. We didn't do anything to P2.
So it's like it never
We just made it, yeah. And so there, and in the changelog, it'll say unmerged. It'll come up here and write a little thing above. It says unmerged. And it's as if nothing happened. None of P2's data is sitting over here on P1. All of the things that we put on P1 go away, disappear from P1. So if there were all this data was transferred over, it's gone. If there were ordinances pulled over, then those ordinances are taken back. If there were sources put over here, then the sources are all taken off of P1. They were already here, right? We didn't take them away from P2. We just added them to P1, so we just delete them from P1.
Got it.
It's as if nothing ever. It's as if this never happened.
Back to the future.
It's called boom, just like that.
We turn the time turner.
Bam,
Back.
So unmerged is a beautiful thing. It's as if it never happened.
Okay.
Now,
Restore.
okay, there's unmerged. I hope everybody got it. Now, let's go back to black. Oh no, I'm going to use a different color.
What color do you want now? All I got is orange or pink.
I think pink's not going to be good. Let me do blue. Okay, so now let me fill it back in. So this stuff came over, and now the blue stuff's here. And now what happens next?
We're not merging, right?
You're going to make me redraw that?
I'll write it for you if you need to.
Now,
I don't want to get people confused.
now there's data. I'm going to represent it like that. There's data written on P1. Okay? So my changelog just grew because people came in and did something to P1 after the merge.
Got it.
So after the merge, it's done. Somebody comes in and adds a memory or changes the birthday, fixes the life sketch. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to make that darker. But there's this data that got added to the changelog after the merge. Okay?
Got it.
Okay, so now I have a problem.
Now we have a problem.
You go, oops,
Ah.
these two people are not really the same people. So now you'd really like to unmerge. But the problem is, I don't know what to do with that data.
Ooh.
That data that was put on P1. What do I do with that data?
Does it go to P1?
Does it stay on
Or does it
P1
go
or
to
does it
P2?
really supposed to be on P2?
Got it.
Because you're telling me they're different people now because you want to unmerge, but I don't know if people put that on because they thought it was P1 or they put it on there because they thought it was P2.
Got it.
So I don't know what to do with the data. So at that point in time, the box, what color was the box? Was purple?
The box was purple. Yep.
Okay, so here's the box. I'm just going to represent it as that.
That's
With
the change
stuff
log.
here. This had P1 and P2
Right.
changes. Okay, get you to remember. So this is a change log.
Right.
So in the change log now, there is no unmerge button anymore.
Because we've made changes past
Because we
the
made
merge.
changes, I can't just make it all go back to what it was before
Got it.
because I don't know what to do with this data.
Okay.
Okay? Now, there is no restore button either. So how do I restore? I have to click on P1
P2, you mean?
or P2. I click on P2 and a screen will come up and it'll say deleted and a big banner, and it'll have, so it'll come up here, it'll say deleted, and it'll show all the data about P2. You can go look at the change log of P2, you can go look at vitals, things like that. Not everything is there right now, because we need to go back and put it all in. It's all there, but we're just not showing it.
Got it.
But right over here in this little corner here, I'm just going to put a jiggly line. Right here in that little corner over there is the word restore.
Got it. The jiggly line means restore.
That's right.
Okay. It's official.
And that's a
term.
restore. It's printed in small font that require, like the font she has on her computer. that can't be read.
That's 12-point font that most college
That's like
professors
12
ask you
micro
to.
fonts.
Yeah, okay.
And so that's the restore button. If you click that restore, then this is what happens.
Okay, what happens?
P2 becomes undeleted.
It's an undeleted person.
That's it. P2 comes back to life.
What happens to all the information?
Nothing changes on P1. So P2 comes back to life,
Got it.
but the blue stuff from P2 is still on P1, and all of this green stuff that was put on after is still on P1. So now you have to do some cleanup. Now you have to go over to P1 and say, ooh, this stuff nearly not need to be there, so you'll have to manually go remove those things. Maybe remove a spouse, or remove some memories, or remove some sources or something.
Spouses or kids or something.
So you have to do a little cleanup on P1 to get all the P2 stuff off of it.
Okay.
This will still be in the changelog because that happened. It shows the changelog doesn't get edited, can't be changed, so it still remembers it. But it also writes in here that it got restored, I believe. So if it's a restore case, you may have to do some cleanup depending on the data that was taken from P2 and put on the P1. Now, that makes it a little more difficult, but it's workable. I will say that we've, as part of our change of our new backend systems, we have some cool capabilities that is going to allow us to make this better. But that's all I'm going to say. But for now, that's what you have to do. All of the data that was brought over from P2 and this data, you have to decide whether to keep or not.
Oh.
Whatever that is. Because there may be some stuff that belong to P2 and some stuff that stays on P1.
Kind of sort through that one as well.
And it'll all be up here. You'll know, when you do P2, you'll know what stuff on P1 that doesn't make sense because it was brought over by P2.
Got it.
Okay? So, there's the answer to the question. Did I answer it all?
I believe so.
Okay, that's the difference between a merge and a restore. An unmerge and a restore. Unmerge goes back as if it never happened. The restore brings the deleted person back to not deleted, but changes nothing. Well, I will say one thing. Restore, when it's restored, it does take temple ordinances off of the P1. That's the only thing that's changed. I forgot to mention that. I apologize. So let me repeat that.
So what happens?
P2 and P1 are merged together.
Yeah.
You do a restore, and I said all the stuff from P2 is still stays on P1, and all of the data I added to the changelog stays on P1. That's correct, except for
Ordinances.
temple ordinances. Those we remove from P1 because we don't want the same ordinance on two different people.
Got it.
So that's the only thing we remove.
So P2's ordinances will go with P2, and P1's will stay with P1.
Yeah, actually, what we do, if you now you'll be really super smart in your world.
Whoa!
Everybody will figure you're a genius.
Another brain wrinkle coming on.
Yeah, that's what I should tell my kids. Go in and study, get another wrinkle. Because they say if you get a wrinkle in your brain, it occurs because you need increased brain surface in order to increase intelligence. As you increase intelligence, you need more plane, more surface area, and so the brain creates more wrinkles because so you get more, you get divots, so you get bigger, more brain surface. Yeah. So I used to tell the kids, go in and study and get more wrinkles, get more brain wrinkles. Okay, so that's kind of a cool thing, but anyway. Okay. So what happens is, let me just draw it out here.
So we're talking about a restore. What happens with ordinances when a restore happens?
Yeah, on a merge and a restore. So I'm going to go just do the same thing, now only talking about ordinances.
Got it. But I told you not to write your handwriting.
This isn't whole words. This is just a one letter.
Okay.
Now, this is the same exercise, but now we're just talking about ordinances. You can't see that one at all.
Well,
I'll do your style.
Okay. Let's see you mimic my style. Oh, look how much more legible that is.
I can't see it. All right, but anyway. Here's on P2, let's say that P1 had a baptism and a confirmation, and P2 also has a baptism and a confirmation.
Okay.
When you do the merge,
yes,
then we go up here.
Violence is not
We
the
call
answer.
when you do the merge. When you complete the merge,
Okay.
we put B2 here and C2 here.
Okay.
Notice we didn't remove it there. We just added these to this one.
Got it.
Okay? We did that on purpose because we're sneaky. Alright, we got that? That B was horrible.
Okay, you're sneaky.
Yeah. So we said so you merged it. We made another version of it. We just
duplicated the
duplicated
ordinance.
we duplicated the ordinance information.
Got it.
When you do an unmerge or you do a restore, either one, all we do is go and remove this from P1. And remember, P2 is restored. It's got its ordinance still. So the ordinance, so it feels like the ordinances went back to P2,
But they actually never.
but they never actually were taken off.
Got it.
A little trick.
You're so sly.
But so that's what happens to ordinances. Now, I will say there has been some reports of people being concerned when they merge. They merge and right away, so people merge and immediately, for some reason, they run right over to that ordinance tab to see if the ordinances from this guy are over here. And they immediately run over to that ordinance tab and they look and they don't see them. And they go, oh no, there must be a problem. Something happened wrong with the merge. And so they unmerge and remerge and do all this weird stuff trying to make it happen.
It takes time.
It takes a minute or so for this to happen because there's thousands of merges happening all the time, and this is a big system. We're dealing with 1.2 billion persons. So you need to just give it, 15, 20 seconds or so, and then refresh your page on your browser. If you're looking at P1, refresh your page, and then all of a sudden you'll see B2 and C2 there. Okay? So don't panic. It happened. It just takes a little while for it to get through all the systems, and then just hit refresh after about 15 or 20 minutes. I've heard it taking up to a minute on a Sunday if it's a real busy Sunday.
Yeah, Sundays are their popular day.
So don't panic. Just refresh it after a while, and they're there. And that'll always be the case.
Got it.
Okay, so don't panic on it. That's the other thing I want. So that was good. That was a good question.
I was gonna make a really.
I'm glad I remembered the ordinance part.
I was gonna make a really bad Usher joke right there.
No. I have to explain it all. So keep going.
Okay. Next question is from Sylvia Luann. First off, she wants to say that she loves the Q&A. She says every time she comes and listens, she learns something new. So.
And erases something else that she never wants to
maybe
remember.
she's making really good wrinkles.
I don't know.
Okay, so she wants to know.
I think she just sees things she'd like to unsee
Maybe.
or unhear.
It's possible. I'm wondering if there's a way to create a keepsake for a member of our family who is a non-member and does not have a FamilySearch account. I have found that a non-member can create a keepsake if they do have a FamilySearch account by going through this link, and she lists it for us.
Yeah,
But
the
so far-
FamilySearch.org/keepsakes. Right?
Mhm. But so far, I've not been able to figure out how to create a keepsake for them if they do not have a FamilySearch account.
Yeah. Keepsakes was built by the marketing department as a way to have a fun. What keepsakes do, for those who don't know, if you go to FamilySearch.org/keepsakes
It's /campaign/
or campaign/keepsakes,
Mhm.
what it is it's a 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that they have different designs of a tree. Some that look like leaves, some that look like, I don't know, picture frames or something. There's like 4 or 5 different designs. And what it does is it reads your tree, it reads you, parents, your children. You can choose what set of people you want to put on this tree, and then it just kind of randomly places them on the tree.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have a nice, fun looking color picture with your names put into it. And you have to have a tree in Family Tree because that's where it's getting the data. It isn't like a PDF where you can go in and add names into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they just place it and then send a PDF to you that's got it included. Yeah. I don't know if you can print it without the names. I haven't tried that. See if you can print the keepsake without names at all, but I think it auto-populates with your tree. So you'd have to put a tree in there. I don't know. There's probably places you can go to get a nice picture that with underlined places in it where you could write in names.
Probably.
Or not that I would necessarily encourage this, but I guess you could if it was really compelling. You felt like it would be very helpful to this person. You could go in and create a non-member account or another account, and in Family Tree, go in and add their tree, what you know of their people and their tree in there,
And create one
and
for
then
them.
print Keepsake for them. You could do that if you know all their family, which sounds like you do, because you would need to be able to do that but if you're wanting them to fill it out,
Do I need to create-
there's a company called Chartmasters, which is a partner of Family Tree. You can
Yep.
find it in the /apps section. I think they have blanks that you can get from them, and they do really beautiful work. They'll do pedigrees that can cover your entire side of your house.
Yeah.
One big old giant pedigree.
They had one at Roots Tech that was like the size of one of the convention walls.
Yeah.
It was massive.
And they have beautiful things. They can put pictures in it. They can put all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think you could contact them. And I think for very little, I think they have some blanks that you can download. So I would try them.
So maybe try them.
Go in the app place and look for Chartmasters. I think is what they call them.
Here, I'll make a note to like.
Yeah, maybe we'll put a
the
link in there on there.
Chartmasters.
Because I want you to be successful and have that. And I think they have those, and I think they even have a few that they give out for free.
That could be fun.
So that I remember, but I might be forgetting.
Okay, so we got this question while we were going. Richard Young wants to know. So he's been working with some young men, young women groups in his stake, teaching the Find, Take, Teach. We are finding that there are 2 or 3 youth in each ward who, in FamilySearch, are not connected to their living parents. The parents are members and the youth are 3rd or 4th generation. Is there an easy way to get them connected to their parents' accounts without having to add living people that are already there?
Well, okay, he said 2 things in here that doesn't quite make sense. So did he just send us?
He was chatting with us.
Oh,
so
okay,
we can, hopefully we
so
can
maybe
get you
we
to talk
can,
with us.
yeah, she'll have to read what shows up on the screen, because it's like way over there. I can see something, Jennifer or something.
Wow, I'm impressed that you can see that, but you can't see the font right
That's
here.
because this is in the range, over there is long distance.
Okay, ask your question.
Okay, so you said 2 things. You said they're youth that have a Family Tree account, Family System, Family Tree, implied that they had a Family Tree account or a FamilySearch account, have logged into Family Tree, but aren't connected to their parents. That's the first question I have to ask. You implied that was true.
So So I guess the question is, do they have a family?
Do they have a
Search
FamilySearch account,
But
and
they're
have they
logged
gone
into
into Family Tree? So that's the first question we need answered from you. If you could post it on Facebook, I guess.
Yep. We'll give you a minute to.
And then
respond
read
to
me
us.
his question again.
Um,
Okay, they're not connected, and then he wants to know
he's
how to
not-
connect them.
the parents are members and the youth are 3rd and 4th generation. Is there an easy way to have them connected to their parents' accounts without having to add living people that are already in there?
Yeah, see that one's a loaded question. So we'll work on that one here. We'll work on that one. So let me just explain how it works for members of the church, of the LDS church, when they come to Family Tree.
Okay.
So what happened? Well, I'll just try to say it, and then I'll write on the board of Family
Okay, so he says,
So,
correct, they have FamilySearch accounts and they have gone into Family Tree and they do not see their parents.
okay, so if you have a multi-generational youth whose parents are members of the church, they created an account and they went in the Family Tree and they do not see their parents, that means that they created their account without their membership number. Okay? So they are non-members when they are in the tree. They are non-members. We don't know the difference. If they don't give
according to the tree, they are a member, but according to the
according
tree.
to the tree doesn't know that they're a member because they did not supply their membership number.
Okay.
So we assume that they're non-members. So there's nothing in their tree. They just show up, see themselves.
Okay.
Well, that's no good.
So
If they had supplied their membership number, then if a person supplies their membership number before they go into Family Tree, if they supplied their membership number during registration, then what we do now is we go to the membership record and we create the data for them and we hook them up to their parents and we create parents for them if they're living. And then we connect them to like grandparents. Let's say their grandparents are deceased. We would connect them to the right grandparents in the common deceased pedigree automatically. We do that automatically because we can do it from membership records.
Got it.
Because their membership record points to their parents' membership records each point to their parents, and we can build that tree from membership records. But we can only do that if they put in their membership record, membership number, before they go into Family Tree. Now,
Okay, so how do they fix it?
well, just recently, and I mean really recently, like in the last 30 days or so, we've created an ability for an admin in customer support to to turn off, because as soon as we create someone's tree for membership, we record the fact that we created their tree for membership so we don't create it again.
Okay.
Okay, so what happened is because they're non-members, we didn't ever do that. So how you would correct it is that you would tell the youth to go to their settings page. So log into FamilySearch. Up in the right-hand corner, there's a word that says Settings. You go and click on Settings, and or click on their name on the right-hand side. Sorry, top right-hand corner, you'll see their name. You click their name. Underneath the menu is the word Settings. You click Settings, and then you'll go to the Settings page. And I think it's I don't know which one. Go to FamilySearch. I'm trying to remember which page it is. You can sign in. Do you remember your password?
We go over this every time.
Well, then go fix that. Does that work?
It's loading. There it goes.
Okay.
Or you can just tell me your password and then
No way.
I can be logged in for you.
Can't
I
do
probably already know it.
That's against church policy.
Is it your standard one?
No. Okay, go to Settings, and you go to, it's on your Account tab. So you go your name, Settings, choose the Account tab, which is the first one that opens it up, and down at the bottom, it'll say Membership Record Number, and you can enter in your membership record number. So go do that first, put in the right membership, make sure it's their membership number, and then call support and tell them, hey, they created an account, they didn't put in their membership number, they want their tree recreated, repopulated. And so, and if they don't know, if the person you call don't know about it, you say, escalate it up to a higher level of support. So there's different levels of support. Say, could you set it up to higher level support so it gets taken care of? Then what'll happen is we'll go in and because we'll see a membership number now, and we'll see the flag that we put on and said we didn't populate it. They have an ability to say turn that off, which means we think you haven't logged into the system yet. And then after that's done, they'll tell you, and then have that young man log in, or you can help them if you want to do helper on them. You can do helper, and it will populate their tree. Okay, that's one alternative, which I think is the best, because now everything in there is associated with membership records, and that's a good thing because we're gonna do some features with membership records that you're gonna want. If you don't want to go through that, then just have the young man or young woman enter in there, just create their mom and create their dad, create their grandparents if they're still alive, and then link it to their dead ancestors. Wherever the dead hits, just get them to that first dead, and then they're off and running anyway. Again, now they have a tree. Okay. So a little bit complicated, but that's the way it is. We can't do anything until we have the membership. Did that help?
Deanna wants to know what level of support is able to populate the tree for patrons who do not enter your membership record number when first creating your
account. I believe that they have to go to tier 3. So I think you need to say send it to tier 3 or to the data admin support. I think it's what they call it, tier 3 or data admin. And they'll send it right up to them, and they try really hard to get to those really quick.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it. Okay, I think, let me double check. But I think
That's everything?
I think
What time is it?
it's 8:25. This
Oh.
might be like the first time we ever like finish on time. Oh, follow up on a prior question. Deanna wants to know. If the tree is automatically generated, will there be new ID numbers for all of the living?
Well, you didn't have, in this particular case, the young man or young woman didn't have any IDs because it has just them because they're no member. So I think you're asking a different question. I think what you're really asking is, so here's user 2, and here's user 1, here's parents 1, parent 2. Right, so what you're asking is this. If I have 2 users, and these 2 users are, let's say they're related, they're brothers and sisters, or brothers, or whatever, and user 1 came in and entered in, and they logged in and they had their membership number, we would have created user 1, we would have created their living parents here, and we would have hooked them to their,
Grandparents.
so here's the public world, right? Here's the dead. Is that better? Dead? That's kind of drab.
Well, okay. You can kind of read it. We're gonna have to work on your writing here.
Dead. Not the D. Get the D. Dead. So here's dead. And we hooked them up to their dead.
Okay.
And this one's hooked up to their dead.
Okay.
So if you have membership records, we put you in, your parents, or however many living, and then we hook you to your deceased grandparents or great-grandparents if they're members of the church too. So now you're asking, see, what you're really asking is not, when this user 2, do they get living generated from the person, from the membership? Well, the answer is yes, just like this one got generated. But you're not wanting that answer. You're wanting a different answer.
She wants to know.
You want to know,
Will they get new ID numbers for all the living?
you're saying over here is user 2, and let's say this is ID 2 and this is ID 1, and this is a brother, and they get a P1 and they get a P2 here. This is going to be ID 3 and ID 4. What you're asking is, if this person here is a brother or sister, when they log in, are they going to get new copies of their parents with different IDs? And the answer is yes. And the reason for that is because in most countries, we are not allowed by the government to expose living to only to the person to whom enters that living. And that would be this person. We doing it on behalf of this user, so he has to see this living, and we're doing this one on behalf of this user, and they have to see this living, because that we can't let that person see that living. I know it seems funny, even because it's the same names, doesn't matter. The law is the way it is. However, we recognize the desire to share living, and I've talked about this a couple of times in RootStex, and there's more and more pressure. We're hoping to be able to get to some. We're actually doing some engineering designs to figure out how to have one place where both the user 1, the both brothers sit, and they both link to the same parents. Okay, this is what you're wanting.
Like a community space, so they have one set of
we
IDs.
call it a shared family project. And that means that when they come in, they can choose to live over here instead of living over here. And then that way they see, because you see the common IDs, then you see when memories are put on people, you see them. When, that's all a good thing. We want that. But the laws of governments require that living are private to the person who has that data. So yes, they would get different IDs, and I everyone asks me the same. Yes, it's different IDs, but we're working to come up with a solution to be able to allow you to share your living with each other. And then when you do that, and you go to that shared family project, then you're all seeing the same IDs, and therefore when you make changes to those IDs, everybody else that can see that will also see the changes you make. Whether that's adding memories or adding stories or adding pictures, everybody that can see those things will see them too. And I think that's what you're wanting. You didn't ask that, but that's what I think you were trying to ask.
She says, thanks. I thought if a tier 3 generated them, it might be different.
No, the tier 3 doesn't have any control over how Family Tree works. They just have the ability to
Regenerate.
to set a flag to make us regenerate, or they can set a flag, or they can edit the data that can't be edited by other people and things like that. They don't get to control the behavior of Family Tree. So when we get shared family projects, then that'll be available to everybody in Family Tree to be able to create shared family projects and invite people to those projects. And if they join the project, then they can see all the data inside of that project, including memories. And I think what'll happen is, like for instance, me, I have a private area that has me and has a copy of my wife and has a copy of my 4 children in it. My wife also has an account for Family Tree. And when she logs in, she sees her private area, and she has a copy of me and a copy of all the children. My son has an account, and when his account is created, he has him and a copy of me, his father, and his mother.
Right.
So that has to be that way because we keep it private.
Privacy laws.
But when we do shared projects, we'll all be able to say, hey, let's all go to one place. And let's just put a copy of mom and dad and the kids and grandparents, and everybody just come to that place, and we'll do everything there, and then everybody sees each other's stuff, and it's a way for the family to be together and living and see all that, which will be, I think, it will be great addition. We've wanted it. We've thought about it for years. We've wanted it. We just had to get off of new FamilySearch and get to our new system, and we've done that. We've done our cleanup to get things working pretty smoothly.
Got all your approvals in place.
Got all the approvals in place with Privacy Office and the lawyers and everything to do it. So now we're starting to design it and figure out how we're going to implement this.
She wants to know if you have an ETA for your shared experience.
No ETA. No ETA yet.
It just got approved like a month ago.
Yeah, a couple months ago, and we're starting on the designs, and we have to do all our designs and thoughts about how things would work and all the weird cases. You have to think about all the different cases. That's one of the things we have to do. For instance, if we have the shared place and people are invited to the shared place, can somebody kick them out of the shared place? Maybe they're a bad player. They go in there and just screw everything around and mess with it, delete stuff, make you mad, and so you want to kick them out. So we have to allow you to kick somebody out. We have to make sure that you can do merges inside of private areas, because there's going to probably be duplicate copies of people as they're copying their data into this space. You want to merge them together. So we don't currently allow merging inside of private areas. So we need to hook that and get that start working. And so anyway, that's.
So then once all those are tested and built, then they go through extensive testing.
Yeah, we go through testing, and we go through customer review and make sure everything behaves the way it should. We think it should behave, and then it'll come out. But this isn't a small project, so this isn't like adding a button to a screen or anything like this. This is pretty intense, but
it's gonna take a little bit.
We'll get there.
We'll keep you posted on it.
Don't worry, it's not something that's going to go away or fall off.
No, a lot of people have asked for it.
A lot of people have asked, and the brethren, our 70s, General Authority 70s, or over the department, are very, very interested in this, and they ask me regularly, how's progress and when are we going to get this done? And I tell them the same thing. I don't know yet. We're working on it.
Like this,
yeah, so it's not going to go away. So don't worry about that.
It's coming. Just might take a little bit of time.
Okay.
Okay, so that's it for today. So I guess the last thing that we need to mention is Happy Memorial Day.
Yes, this Memorial Day weekend on Monday. So enjoy your weekend.
Drive safely.
Drive safely if you're going out of town.
Enjoy camping or spending time with your family.
Yeah.
And I guess for those that have served or are serving or have had somebody who has served.
Serve their country in the military and stuff.
Thank you so much for your service and donating your time to helping us.
Risking your life for our freedoms, and I appreciate that. And thank you very much.
It's definitely something that I know I can't do. I don't know if I'd be brave enough to go and do that. So I appreciate you doing that for us. So
I'd have to have new eyes, I guess.
Obviously, you'd have to have new eyes. You can't even write.
Maybe back when I was young, I was okay. So have a good night.
The grand kiddo is peeking in. Do you want to come say hi?
Oh yeah, this is Tegan's little one.
This is mine. Do you want to say hi?
Yeah.
Do you want to wave and say hi?
Yeah, hi.
Can you wave hi? No, now you're good.
See, now it looks weird. See, I'm seeing my safe on the screen.
Hey, tell him what a horse does.
What does a horse say?
Way.
Yeah, nay. All right.
What does a cow say?
Moo.
Moo. What does a dog say? Woof woof. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
We'll
thank
have
you
a
very
great,
much.
Great weekend, and we will see you guys soon. We're going to try to figure out a better schedule so we can. help you
Or a
guys
schedule
plan.
that goes out further. I don't know if it's going to be any better, but at least it'll be known.
More plans.
Okay.
Most likely Thursday.
Are
All right.
we leaving now?
Yeah.
How do you push that button?
It's that finish
It's
button,
that
the
button
one
right there?
down at
Right
the
down on the
bottom
button right
right.
there?
You can do it.